I'm going to show you the best ways to make money with SEO. My name is Nathan Gotch, the founder of Gotch SEO Academy and the author of The SEO Entrepreneur. And since 2011, I've tried pretty much every technique for making money online with SEO. And in this video, I'll rank 11 techniques based on income potential, capital requirements, scalability, risk, and competition for a beginner. All right, let's begin with the first one, which is start an SEO software business, which lands in the F tier. Here's why. So although SaaS businesses have high income potential and are extremely scalable, they also require tons of upfront capital. According to Founder, the upfront investment for SaaS is between $10,000 to $30,000 and can get into six figures if you need to hire developers. And there is a ridiculous amount of competition in the SEO software industry. We analyzed the SEO software industry and found at least 287 different SEO tools. And you'd also be competing against companies that are well-funded like SEMrush, who's raised at least $40 million according to Crunchbase. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's definitely not the best place to start when you're new to the SEO industry. Now, let's move on to one-on-one SEO consulting or coaching, which lands in the B tier for me. You can actually make an awesome income doing this, but it does have some downsides. First, your income potential is capped because there's only one of you and you can't make more time. And it's also not scalable because you have to do this work and show up for the calls. On the other hand, one-on-one SEO consulting requires zero upfront capital to start, and it's a low-risk SEO business model. And now it's time for the next way to make money with SEO, which is get hired as an in-house SEO professional. And this one lands in the D tier because your income potential is not only low, but it's capped. For example, the average salary for an SEO professional in the US is $62,000 a year. But let's say you rise through the ranks and you get to be an SEO director. According to Glassdoor, you could make a solid $142,000 a year. After taxes, you'd take home around $96,000, which would put you in the top 1% of earners in the world and in the top 10% in the United States. But the reality is that most people never get to that level, and even if you did, you'd hit a ceiling. And the other problem is that job security is a myth. You could get laid off or fired and your income is gone overnight. And at the end of the day, the only income security you have is based on your skills. For example, a quote that's stuck with me since 2011 is from Dan Kennedy, and he said that your income is directly proportional to the amount of value you add to the marketplace. In other words, if you want income security, you need to become more valuable. The next way to make money with SEO is through selling productized SEO services, which I'm placing in the A tier. And this is one of my favorite techniques for a few reasons. First, it's much lower competition. For example, it's easier to become known as the on-page SEO guy than to just be the SEO guy. It's also much easier to build a brand around specific productized services. For example, if I was starting today, I'd consider building a productized service for on-page SEO, SEO content briefs, or even link-based development. All of which you can use ChatGPT to support you. And the only downside of productized SEO services is that they aren't as high ticket compared to full service SEO, so your income potential might be lower. And now moving on to the next technique, which is starting a link building services agency. And this might surprise some people, but this one lands in the F tier. So back in 2016, I made over $470,000 selling backlinks. And there's no doubt that you can make money with it, but there's some big challenges with this model. First, it's not that profitable. Backlinks are really expensive now, so your margins will be tiny after paying for placement and creating content. But the biggest reason why it's in the F tier is based on competition. Everyone and their mother has a link building company these days, and I get over 10 emails a day from people or companies trying to sell me backlinks. It's an extremely saturated market. When a market is saturated, everyone becomes a commodity. So with that said, if you wanted to sell backlinks, then I'd recommend coming from a different angle. For example, I like what one of my Gotch SEO Academy students, Alan, has done with Growth Gorilla. Instead of just being a general link building agency, he focuses on B2B SaaS companies, and he's very strict about how they acquire backlinks. So the next way to make money with SEO is to start an authority website, and this one lands in the C tier. And I actually really like the authority site model, but it's not easy to execute for a beginner. For example, I've been running GotchSEO.com for over 10 years and invested thousands thousands of hours into content. It's no joke. That said, authority websites are awesome for a few reasons. First, the income potential is unlimited. Once you have authority and traffic, you can monetize however you want. And at any moment, I can start offering SEO consulting on my website and start immediately making sales. That's the power of authority. Also, authority sites usually have strong backlink profiles, and as a result, most authority sites survive most Google updates with just some scrapes and bruises. In other words, website authority and having a real brand helps you weather the storm, therefore reducing volatility. But there's one big downside of building an authority website, and it requires a huge upfront and ongoing capital and time investment. You need to create extremely high quality SEO content, and you need a concentrated link building campaign. So unless you have a big bankroll or you're willing to do all the work, then it's not the best option for a beginner. Which brings me to an alternative, which is to build a micro niche website, which I actually place in the B tier. And remember, my rankings are based on what's best for a beginner SEO entrepreneur. And I personally love micro niche websites because A, it requires almost zero capital to get started other than a domain and hosting. B, it's low risk because you'll probably be in a lower competition niche that Google isn't focusing on as hard. C, you don't need a decade of SEO experience to get results. And D, you can leverage your results from your micro website to land SEO clients. You can then use the client revenue to reinvest into an authority website that will be much more lucrative. I view niche websites as a bridge to better techniques, and it's an amazing way to get your hands dirty and learn how to build a site, do SEO, and even how to monetize. It's perfect for beginners. And now finally, I'll do the first of two S-tier ways of making money with SEO, and the first one is starting a city-focused SEO agency. So instead of trying to be an SEO company that targets all of the United States, you'd pick a city like Kansas City and become the go-to pro in that city. And this is what I did in 2013 when I started my SEO company, and I ranked for St. Louis SEO, which became my #1 source of new leads and clients for my agency. And even though I rarely take on clients now, I still rank for this keyword. People underestimate how much opportunity there is in their local area. For example, here's the business directory for the Chamber of Commerce where I live. There are hundreds of businesses in an area that has only 14,000 people. And I know everyone wants to be Steve Jobs, but when it comes to building a successful SEO business, it's best to think small. Dominate one tiny segment of the market, then expand out. The next way to make money with SEO is rank and rent or local lead generation, which I'm placing on the C tier. Now, there are people like James Dooley who have executed this exceptionally well at scale. But James is a very experienced SEO entrepreneur, and this is an example of survivorship bias. In other words, you only hear about the success stories and never hear about the hundreds, possibly thousands of people that failed trying to do the same thing. And the biggest downside of this model is the income potential, because you have to create many of these properties to make it worth it. And it also becomes a logistical nightmare when you have countless websites you need to manage. Plus, it's hard enough to rank one website, let alone a handful or more. And the other challenge is that it's capital intensive because you need to create multiple websites, all of which need content and backlinks. It reminds me of an illustration that I review on an almost daily basis from the book Essentialism. And on one side, you have a circle with many arrows going a short distance, and this represents your time, energy, and capital. And on the other side, you have one circle and one arrow representing the progress you would have made by focusing your time, energy, and capital into one thing. The truth is, you can be successful doing both, but it comes down to your unique capabilities and workflow. I've been doing this so long that I know my behavior, and I thrive when I focus and struggle when my attention is fragmented. The truth is, I'm not like Gary Vee where I can spin multiple plates at the same time. It's really important to be self-aware and have a deep understanding of how you're most productive. And now moving on to the next technique, which is offering white label SEO services to agencies, which lands on the A tier for many reasons. First, like many other SEO services, there's almost no upfront capital requirements. Second, the competition is much lower because you're targeting agencies instead of small businesses. And my favorite reason of all is you only need a few agency clients to make a killing because they do the marketing, sales, and customer service, and you can just focus on delivering results. In fact, many of my early SEO clients were white label partnerships. And the only downside of white label is that the investment per campaign will usually be pretty low because the agency has to make a profit. So let's say you normally charge $2,500 per month when working directly with the client. With white label, you'd probably only get $1,250 or lower for the same campaign. But the difference is that the one agency client might give you 10 campaigns to work on, and that means you'd be technically making $12,500 per month with one client. All right, so we only have 2 more to go, and the final F tier way to make money with SEO is to start a national SEO agency. And the only reason why this one got any points is because of the income potential, which can be very high. However, to actually succeed in building a national SEO company, you need strong business development skills and lots of capital to make it work. Plus, the competition and skill level requirements are through the roof, which greatly increases the risk of this business model. I do not recommend it for any beginner, but there is an alternative that is far superior and much easier, which is the final S tier way to make money with SEO, and that's starting a niche SEO agency. This has all the other benefits of starting a client SEO services business, but it's lower competition if you pick the right niche, and it doesn't require massive amounts of business skills. By niching down, your marketing, sales, and fulfillment is 100 times easier. And if you need proof of this, take a look at Chris Dreyer's agency, Rankings.io, which only focuses on lawyers, and they do $10 million per year. Now, the question is, how do you pick a niche? Well, good news, I have the biggest SEO niche database ever assembled, and you can get access to it right now when you order my new book, The SEO Entrepreneur. I'll have a link below this video where you can get it for free. And as a big thank you, I've also included 5 bonuses, and one of them is my database of SEO niches you can filter through based on competition. Just click the link below to get your free copy, and the bonuses while supplies last.